not absorption. This is the management of conflicts, and your research should be close and should be directed in these directions. Okay, let me enter into the Nepal. Yes, already. If you see Nepal in the lowland, 60 meter where you are staying, this conference is held around less than 100 meter or around 100 meter height. 8,848 meter, the peak of the world, and types of various vegetations. You can see over there how the altitude affects the distribution of vegetations, and similarly, of course, animals. And the river system you can see from north to south. Water is there, animal is there. You can understand relationship and relationship with China in the north, and internal relationship between animals, plants, and human beings. And if you understand this bigger picture in your mind, then can you very easily you can address the conflicts issues while you are making plan or policy or allocating budget or making team in the field. It will be very helpful. And normally, as you know, the conflicts is created either human sides or wildlife sides. If you see from animal sides, always scarcity of food is there, and territory problem because encroachment is the big threat, and of course sex, the animals, and the conflicts by human being is the country, developing country like Nepal, where various ethnic groups or caste and ethnicity, you can see here always people are talking about their rights, but no one is going to talking about the rights of the animal. And how do you defend it? That is also another philosophical part where we have to discuss more socio-ecological or political ecological processes. And habitat encroachment is the instability. Nowadays, Nepal is suffering by the migration problem. People are migrated from the rural area to city area, mountainous area to lowlands, and they are getting more and more land. And do you know where they encroach? Just nearby the forest, nearby the protected area. Look, see for the beginning, but once they grab it, and they will expand it. And it is always a very serious problem for us. And over exploitation of the resources also. Simple, see the grass, even very near from Saura, where this workshop is organizing here. If you go, some women they are collecting grassland. If you see from the human right perspective or the human perspective, oh, very simply, the basic needs, even not for the human being, basic needs for the livestock. She is collecting grass. But how it affecting to the wildlife habitat, or whether the grass is harvested based on the sustainable harvesting policy or principle or techniques, or whether she or he applied the proper technology, I mean the skill or not. These are the other parts. And over exploitation always a very big serious. And of course the poaching and illegal trade is another part. Of course, sometimes people ask me as a policy makers, what do you mean by conflict and what do you mean by crime? You know, wildlife crime. What do you mean by wildlife crime and what do you mean by conflicts? But for me, if the incident was caused by human beings, is a crime. If the incident caused by animals is a conflict. This is the very simple demarcation you can use, and we will provide 1 million Nepalese rupees. It is 200,000 Nepalese rupees is $2,000, and livestock is around 30,000. It depends on the type of the livestock. And the rate is same. But if you see the conflicts, the tiger do not damage, but elephants has all type of damage. You can see over there, and the rhino cannot damage the livestock, and even for poultry normally. But I cannot ensure 100%. It depends sometimes. This is the government policy and its practices. Here, I would like to talk one point. In 2010, when I was just under secretary, and I was there in the department, and the rate of the human death was 150,000 Nepalese rupees. I mean the 1,500 US dollar. And at that time, our realization is the money is too small to support the victim's family. And we asked the government to increase it 500,000 Nepalese rupees, $5,000. But at that time, our chief secretary tried to convince us, please do not be more ambitious or more emotional one. We have to take care of all Nepalese who are also suffering from floods, earthquakes, fire, everything. That's why just let's increase around 3,000 this time and we can think later on. And we agreed and we increased 100%. I think if I correctly remember, it was in 2011. And in 2012, again we initiated. It should be increased after 1 year later. And luckily we get approval and $5,000. But recently, last year, more innovative minister came to our ministry and he was very excited when he visited to the field and he asked the government to increase the amount from 500,000 to 1 million Nepalese rupees. It was very fortunate that the amount is increased. Everyone became very happy. But do you know what problems now we are facing? The money not released on time because of legal framework, legal tools to address the human wildlife conflicts. We have other forest act as well, but major act and regulations policy are National Parks and Wildlife Conservation Act 1973, Buffer Zone Regulation 1992, 96, and Relief Policy to Wildlife Victims, what I discuss about it. And Buffer Zone Regulation is the fundamental document to support the local communities. I mean to reduce the conflicts, because based on these regulations, the government provide 50% of the park revenue to the local communities in order to reduce the conflicts in terms of biodiversity conservation activities or community development or livelihood and others. And let's see how the process is implementing. Okay. Oh, sorry, no. You can see in Nepal, there are 5 types of conflicts here. If the conflict happens here, whether it is inside the protected area or outside the protected area. Suppose this case is inside the protected area, one incident is happened. You can see simply human death. And the all process is started by protected area. If it is outside district forest office, this is our simply if incident where it happens, the officers, either district forest officer or protected area manager officer, starts the process to give the compensation, I mean the relief fund. And they recommend to the regional forest directorate, but very fortunate, it is of course fortunate, from yesterday this office is changed to our state office because due to the new federalism systems. And regional forest directorate give the money once the field office submitted all the documents. If the money is insufficient or we need more money from the regional forest director for Ministry of Forest and Soil Conservation and our ministry where I am working, and our ministry coordinates the Ministry of Finance. The main things is the process is very clear, very fantastic one, but because of increase in the amount, very recently, last 6 months and around, I am thinking in the ministry that because of the increment, some reluctance feeling this ministry or the money, because the conflict is increasing and the financial burden is increasing for them. But from the field sides, the people are asking the money to give as soon as possible. This is the some problems what we are facing here, but it is under discussion how to simplify. We would like to simplify it very soon and very short process. And my understanding is, if you are really nature lover or would like to work in the conservation sectors, please do not commit very big amount if you cannot deliver very instantly. Small support, short time is more payment of higher amount, but after taking a long time is not a good idea in conservation. This is the learning or lessons what we are receiving from the field. And what are the policy gaps? What will be? And do not let conflicts. You can keep it 100% control. No, I don't think so. If there is only 100% is impossible if there is no animals around. That's why conflicts and conservation always comes parallelly. This is the learning what I learned from the field and my experience, my knowledge. And if the number is increasing, conflict is also increasing, then only one idea. Today I will talk about let's increase the ecotourism to attract the tourists to see or to show our animals, to increase the tourists. The Saurya is one of the tourist hub area, and to increase the tourist is the good idea if our animals are increasing. Let's keep the conflicts is remaining here for a while. And once the population is increased, through the tourism you can increase the revenue. And then livelihoods of the people will be increased. And then level of conflicts you minimize or you say or give some relief fund. You cannot support to the local communities, and if your tribal number is increasing, so what the local people? How to ensure access, equity, and maximum level of benefit of the conservation? Then, if you would like to number the tourists and increase the number of wildlife or revenue collections, quality port area management is the fundamental parts. Not recently, but Chittagong National Park is one of the lucky national parks who adopted cats. I think some of the friends who are familiar with cats. Cats, simple cats, tiger is cats, but conservation assured tiger is strand. In order to double the tiger number by 2022, cats one manual, one tool is applied here in Chittagong. It has 7 pillars and 17 indicators, and its main objective is to increase the inputs and properly implement of the activities and receive the very good outcomes, or you can say outputs. And always the performance is measured with respect, and our chief team has some ability, but the measurement of port area management systems, what he is applied based on the various indicators, and he can find gaps every 2-3 years assessment, and then he can allocate some budget and some program over there and manage the park more qualitative way. And basically it supports in policy and institutional reform and some planning systems, and it also makes some coordination and collaborations, and it supports to the partners, and basically it makes more responsible staffs, because some staff is working in the very rural area, and you can measure what constants he or she has in the field, and more accountable institutions. The chief warden is here, and his organization itself how accountable to conserve the park animals and manage the port area systems, and greater coordinations among the stakeholders also is equally important, and finally more qualitative park management. The basic principle is the practice and principles should be the same, not the different, because you can see the different in terms of if your practice is there and your principle is there, it makes differences, and always what you are saying and what you are doing should be the same, and it gives the quality in your management levels. Finally, this is my last slide. And biodiversity conservation is a function of conservation of habitat, and coordination with the local communities, and management of conflicts, and combating crime. If these parts, if you manage it, then biodiversity more or less will be secure in terms of its maintenance, its status or something like that. Basically, we have to focus grassland and wetland, crevice and ecosystems. For me, here I would like to very shortly. 2022 planning to donate 20 tigers from how many wild boar or other tiger prey are there, and based on the prey assessment, then you have to manage ecosystems. But some of the organizing conservation, but always working on awareness, creating, organizing symposium, workshops outside the portrait area. And how do we can expect the double of the tiger number? That's why sometimes, like researchers, there is a gap. And as I mentioned earlier examples, in 2002 we lost the 37 rhino from poacher, and this year we lost from the unknown reasons, maybe disease or maybe other reasons, by age or other factors. But if you do not improve the quality of the habitat, and how do you get the crime number? That's why the fundamental part is wildlife conservation is wetland and grassland. And conservation should always for the sake of people, local people, their participation, and ensure over the access and equity, the benefits what produced by this park, either in terms of goods or materials or environmental services. And last two are more threats, conflicts, human casualties, crop depletion, livestock and property loss. But how to minimize the conflict and how to provide the relief or compensation as soon as possible. We have to address the conflicts and show the presence of the government and park immediately. And the last one is poaching and illegal trade of animals. As you know, we are living very two big countries, and for example, in India we have a very close relations. Just few kilometers apart there is another Indian park, Balmiki Tiger Reserve. And if India and Nepal do not work together, simple. For your very interesting questions, very serious. India is our very close neighbor, and if you measure the distance, 1,850 kilometers, Nepalese border belongs to India. And even this tri-arc landscape, more than 6 adjoining with the Indian borders. And if India, Nepal do not do that, then you cannot expect the tri-arc. And we are very clear understanding. And the Ministry of Environment, Forest and from the Ministry I am coordinating, and we say that this year we are going to MOU from Nepal side, and I am coordinating to India, and this year we will finalize it. Similarly with China, we have other MOU in 2010, and it again renewed in 2 years. Even maybe from China, we are giving 2 years of MOU. By this year we will give 2 ranks, and we have very good relations. But one more very interesting involving from the law or policy perspectives. Tiger reserve in Nepal, the same tiger sometimes go to India and sometimes come. And in Nepal, if you kill the tiger, the poacher should go to the but in India only 7 years. And now it is a challenge to the researchers on research questions. Where Nepalese 15 years region is good for the sake of animal, or 7 years is good for the sake of poacher. It's a very matters. And sometimes from Indian counterparts, especially ministry people and global tiger forum people, even in India, we are discussing on it. And harmonization of the policy is becoming another challenge. Harmonization of the policy while you are working in transboundary cooperations. But we are working very closely with India and China. Yeah.
So if there is, then I think we will have another time. So tea break time, coffee break time, we will discuss. For Dr. Chiranjeevi Pokharel, Project Manager NTNC Central Zoo. His topic is tiger ecology and research in Nepal. That is also very technical topic. So you have yes, that means 30 minutes for presentation, then 15 minutes for discussion.
I have given it them, but this.
So I would like to request the speaker to download their presentation.
Sorry for inconvenience. Chair of the session. In a habitat management, we have a lot of interventions in habitat management because we have, like in some area, for example, for the tiger we need prey. For the prey we need a grassland. So this is, and the water holes and the wetlands. So this is how we also working on habitat management and institutional sentence, as I mentioned before, and the policy reform, control of poaching and illegal wildlife trade, which is really a serious matter for us. It was a big challenge for us, and it's, as mentioned earlier by Maestro sir, that we also celebrated the zero poaching after the strengthening of institution. So other part, the transboundary cooperation, it was really very important part, like India and Nepal, as mentioned by Maestro sir earlier, that we have a very good cooperation now, so that we are it's very easy for us to do better in the conservation. And human wildlife conflict is one of the big challenges for us. As we are in another one part that we are supposed to increase the number of tiger or other animals. So the next part is to minimize the human wildlife conflict. Definitely, when we work for increasing wildlife, there is equal opportunity to have a conflict. So this is one of the very important conflict, as Maestro sir has already presented earlier, and it was a really wonderful presentation which really need on this, how we managing, how the policy in policy level, in the government, in central level, how we are working. So that's one of the action we are doing. And the community engagement and outreach program. This is the buffer zone. In nearby the protected areas, we are working very closely with the communities. The community support for this. So this is one of the another big strength, that the successful stories come out from there. So without the support from the local communities, we are not able to achieve this goal. And at the end, like, research and monitoring is equally important, but there was a lot of challenges, as so mentioned earlier, that researchers should be very, very careful, and I was a little bit afraid of that. Because we are really concentrating on that, and we have, of course, we are using the methodology which is approved by the government. We have a protocols. I'll come on that. And I would like to focus on research and monitoring. Since 1970s, I want to explain a little bit about this, that Chitwan National Park is the first national park in Nepal, and during that period, the government of Nepal and the Smithsonian Institute from US worked very closely, and this is the historical place where we are now today. So it was not like this, it was very primitive, some buildings, some you can see we have a wooden house, those are from those days, and we are really lucky that we can continue, we are working still here. This was the first station which starts tiger ecology project in Nepal in 1973 when it was established. And similarly, we work with very primitive methods, which is like Pogmax methods in 1980s and 1990s, and it was very. We work very closely with the animals, our trackers, our technicians who really work together. I mean, every day in the field, they can identify each and every individual. If we are newcomers, if you go in the field, it will be very difficult and may not give a proper results, outcomes, as mentioned by Sir earlier for Vice Sir. So it's a big challenge for us. So gradually the technology came, and in 1990s onwards, we are able to work using the camera devices. Yet, and it was in early days we use film cameras which are passive and active and passive. I will come on the slide with the camera devices. And another is genetics. We are actually it starts very early in 2004 in China. There was a study on genetics, and if I'm on that, we able to say that that's 9 species. Actually, it was a 9 species. So, but we started from 2012 doing some little work with genetics, but now we have good labs, and we have a collaboration with the Agriculture University. And we are able to probably run the genetic study also, and the study research work. What we are doing here, we are totally based on the National Tiger Monitoring Protocols. And the national tiger and prey-based monitoring in every 4 years, based on the protocols, it's mentioned that where there is high density of the prey, for example, in Chitwan National Park or like in Bardia National Park, we do monitoring in every interval of 4 years. But in the low density areas where there is few number of tigers, we do monitoring or research work in like in Suklapada and Parsa Wildlife Reserve now, but the number is coming up, so probably in coming days it will be recognized as the high density areas. And from the last census 2013 and 2008-9, we can see that the number is increasing. In 2000, as I mentioned earlier, that it was 121 numbers in 2008-9, and when there was a meeting, we have this estimated number. So, and for the doubling the number in 2022, our target is somewhere here, and now we have 198. We are very close to the target, and at the same time we have a big challenge also. And we can see the density of the tiger in different protected areas. So this is results from the last census. And also we try to collect the information by using the occupancy. And we can say that this habitat occupiers in different 12 districts of Nepal in Tarai region. And in this area, we recorded that 55% of the area was occupied by the tiger, including protected areas and outside the protected areas. But if we calculate only the protected areas, then it will be 75%. So this is how we, from the occupancy, also identified that those areas are also potential for the protection of tiger. And also we assess the prey base for tiger, and in 2008-9 and 13, we can compare very easily. You can see the number of prey density is increasing. So this is a very it's a very good signal, and also for them we have to intervention on the habitat management. And also, as mentioned earlier, that it was that transboundary tiger monitor, tiger movement is very crucial, because if we are not considering both areas where there is a connectivity with link with the protected areas in India, and after the poaching, of course, this is for the trade, and we have a really challenge, and we have an open border in the south, in the India part. So both we from Nepal and from India move very easily. So this is one of the big challenges for us to control the illegal trade. So what we are doing for this to meet the problem? Strengthen the anti-poaching activities, habitat management, awareness program, sweep operation, information network, local mobilization. That's a buffer zone. In the buffer zone, we mobilize the youths, like community-based anti-poaching youths. Those are doing a very good role on the conservation, and the national capacity is also one of the important components we are implementing. At the end, I would like to say that we have some plan to do, like continue research on ecology of the tiger in areas close to human settlements. This is basically because we have a number of animals, and they, from the core area, they used to go in the community forest nearby the settlements. So this is one of the areas where we have to intervene. Of course, we are working very closely, and we are doing research now also, but it need to be continued and to be strengthened. And also the human dimension of tiger conservation. This goes the human wildlife conflict related with tiger, and also the tolerance of livestock loss. The people, the communities they have, like we have a provision now. The government already declared that 1 million rupees if there is human loss, and also there is a provision for the livestock loss also. So similarly, and we also involving local communities like citizen scientists for tiger monitoring in the fringe areas where there is a tiger, and also the molecular study. Actually, I would like to focus basically for the health and tiger health, and this is we can see, and Martin, he also presented yesterday the very important what to say, it's a virus. Distemper, sorry, it's a distemper, canine distemper. It's really, we don't know, we haven't done any research directly, but I don't know, I was not in Amit's presentation, probably he mentioned about the canine distemper survey in livestock nearby the protected areas in the buffer zone. We discovered that in Madi Valley areas, one of the area, there's 50% we surveyed that, and 50% dogs carrying canine distemper. So it's a big challenge for us. So hopeful that our team here will work very closely to support the tiger conservation in communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Poprel, for your elaborative presentation. We have around 10 minutes. So if there is any queries, I welcome 2 questions.
I just wanted to pick up on something you mentioned, Shiran. You mentioned that there have been some mortalities of cheetah. I wonder if you could give us more details of where disease was perhaps suspected.
Actually, I also don't know. As I mentioned earlier, we don't know. And I have experience a little bit from, not from cheetah, but from wild boar. In Suklafanta, when I was working there, we found a big number of wild boar were dead, and we got opportunity to test it, to try to diagnose, and found that hemorrhagia septicemia. That was so, we don't know with the cheetah, but there was an incident with the wild boar, and probably it may affect other species also. I don't know, maybe it's not so problem with carnivores, or maybe it's very big problem with the ungulates, but actually with the cheetah we don't know. Maybe Dr. Gairi, you know a little bit about that part, if you can add. Cheetah, sorry.
We don't know even in Chittal because the personnel working in diagnostic disease field, very few, so no time to go to us. We may have collected the sample, they are still in the field. We have no conclusions. Occasionally we have reported, we have some reports of foot and mouth disease in Barasimla. But since last 10-15 years, I have seen some wild pigs dying, but nobody is caring. Even myself, I am not caring because I have no time to watch the wild pigs. So we need more manpower to investigate the laboratory things. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. So please give him big clap. So we have next presenter, Abhinay Pathak, Assistant Warden. Is presenting rhino ecology and conservation practice in Nepal. Your time is 30 minutes plus 15 for discussion.
Thank you very much, Chief Warden and Chief. This session was supposed to be carried by Naresh Subedi sir regarding rhino ecology and conservation practices. It's a opportunity for me, in absence of him, to carry out myself. Being an employee of National Park, I have some sharing with you all, so that I can give what is the management practices we have in National Park regarding rhinoceros. First of all, to start, as everybody knows about the rhinos, and this is the endangered species. We have 5 rhinos in the world, and we have these all rhino species are particularly endangered around us, but we are not able to give them proper conservation practices. We start seeing these species if we cannot. If we do not do anything better in the coming future. In the distribution map, I have mentioned here some of the rhino species, 5 rhino species in different continents. We have black rhino, we have white rhino, great 100 in our national park. This is just regarding the great 100 rhinoceros. Particularly, we have in Nepal, if we talk about rhino, then this is the endangered species. Our National Park and Wildlife Conservation Act lists it as a protected species, and we have a very good distribution in some of the national parks, especially the national park, and we can see this distribution especially in Nepal and India. We have in India there's a good population of rhinos. Concerned to Nepal, we have recently we did the latest survey in 2015. Shows that we have 645 rhinos in Nepal, and particularly in Chittal National Park we have 605 rhinos, and which is the major and one of the attracted species in Chittal National Park. And just I want to go to the general morphology. These are just morphology, so that I can present here. just as a reminder and just to refresh it, nothing new to it, but to be concerned about its habitat because the habitat is shrinking all the way to different places of the country, and just concerned about its habitat because habitat is an important component for any wildlife species, and for rhino, swampy areas, grasslands, wetlands, and river forests is the main habitat, so that they can so that they have good population in any region of the country. And this is just food that rhino feed on. Actually, we have prioritized species, sunburn species, zero and cast that especially the rhino depends on. And we have one rhino apple, Turia nudiflora, is a rhino apple. We call it rhino apple, and these seeds and this apple is most preferred by the rhino in the forest of the national park. This is information just I want to go through. And to be concerned about its conservation threats, we have the most problem we have is the illegal hunting, poaching, and trade, and the habitat destruction because the growing population and the different habitat encroachment works in the buffer zone or in some parts of the core. There is some conservation threats regarding the rhino habitat. I just want to go through the protected area of Nepal, where you can see the distribution of conservation area, protected areas in Nepal. We have in different regions, from Tarai to the high Himalayas, you can see different protected areas which provide a good habitat for the different wildlife species. And to be concerned in the rhino distribution of Nepal, you can see we have 4 protected areas, especially Parsa National Park, Bardha National Park, and Suklapara National Park, which harbors the population of the rhinoceros. And in Chittor National Park, you can see those. You can see the map where that small point of green point shows the rhino distribution in the especially in the Rapti River and Narayani River, which is the major river of the Chittor National Park, and it generally separates the buffer zone and core region of the national park. And rhino, you can observe a very good population of rhino in this region, especially in the wetland, because this region produces a good number of wetlands, and it have a good number of wetlands and obviously riverine forest. This was some mentioned by earlier participants, and to see this in this presentation, we can see in 1950 we have 800 number of population, rhino population in Chittor National Park, and you can see the decreasing trend of population with the years going on. And you can see in 1966 we have just 100 rhino in the national park. This was the conservation threats we had. The political insurgency at that time, the country go through the some of the internal affairs regarding different problems. And after 1966, you can see the population of rhino increased. In 1978, you can see some 147. In 1988, you can see 310, and the numbers start going up and up. And again, in 2005, there is a problem with the population 372. Then it goes towards in 2008 we can have 435 population. This shows the trend of conservation practices in Nepal. International Park is in a very good shape because the conservation people are very concerned with the conservation. They know the conservation importance of the conservation of this species. And this, I will go to this direct methods we have applied to have identify the different rhinos in this national park. And this is the how we carry out different survey, different research. When the people come to the national park, then we generally do our research in benefits, and we go through the making some different places because. In all over the year, it's not sure that we use each and every part of the core area of the national park, and we use elephants to carry out research, and each researchers have we have some protocols regarding the identification and the rhino in the field. You can see some of the marks in their body, their backside, in their stomach region. This was that during their territorial period, during their some fight between each other, there is some hound, and that hound gives some identification regarding the rhino. Identification, we also see the horn of the rhinos, because rhino horns, different rhino have different lengths of horns, and seeing those horns, we distinguish the particular rhino in the park, and so that we can have better information regarding those rhino. And for the further presentation, there is some habitat management oaks that's particularly carried out by the National Park under its yearly program, and we have different management practice under the annual program of the National Park. All grass cuttings, because the National Park possesses huge hectares of grassland in the core area, and managing this grassland is the main target of the National Park, and we carry out manual cutting of these tall grasses. We uproot the bushes to increase the grassland. We have controlled fire in grassland so that there will good sprout for the herbivores, and we also take out the tree saplings, because intrusion of vegetation in the grassland has been a big issue for us in the park. Similarly, one of the important management works we carry out is the water hole management works, because wetland are the prime habitat component for the rhinos. So these are some works we carry out, some with the mechanized plants, and some good thing under this program. There is always happiness we have achieved into the national park. We went through different ups and downs, and I think the more we achieve success, there is some issue regarding our managing our grassland. We are well mechanized. Still we carry out some manual works in the grassland to manage, and it's time to us to go forward and think something to mechanize our grassland management works, because when the establishment of national park and when we go along with the national park conservation, though I am just new to national park, but I think we should catch the mechanization aspect to manage this grassland, because grassland is the prime habitat for rhinos. It is the main herbivore in the national park. Similar infestation of invasive species. The earlier Chiranjeevi sir already mentioned about it, though I want to say that though we are under the construction of strategies regarding invasive and species control strategies, but we have not able to implement it, and we should, I think it is the time to carry out these strategies and implement in the field, because invasive species like Lantana camera, Mycena migranta, Hippopotamus, these species are already encroached our prime habitat of the rhinos, and I don't know what is the future if we have this issue going increasing day by day. Another big issue is our encroachment in buffer zone area. To be honest, we have different documents, we have different survey, we have different management plan in country, but we have always targeted to increase the population of animals, wildlife species, whether it's tiger, whether it's rhino, whether it's elephant. We always want to increase our species, but we are not concerned about how to increase this habitat. Yeah. So I think it's time to think for all of these stakeholders who are concerned with conservation, just to increase the habitat, because the same population cannot exist. The increasing population cannot exist in the same area habitat where it used to be. So I think we should work together to increase the habitat, and in most of the buffer zone of the national park, more than 1,200 hectares is encroached. I think we should work to regain this encroached habitat to increase our population. Recently, we have some flood effect to rhino into the national park. The recent flood into the national park had big damage to these species. And you can see, especially baby rhino and subterranean rhino are much influenced by the flood. Though our national park team is really our veterinary sections, Dr. Kamal Goyri sir led the rescue operation, and we achieved a good number of rhino back to our national park. You can see some rhino are entangled to death in swampy land after the flood. Many of the wetlands, good wetlands, and some of the prime wetlands that has been made swampy due to the deposition of sediment of the river, and most few rhinos entangled in those wetlands, and it came out from them, came out from it. So there is some problem with these things after the flood. And this is some, I think this is, I don't know whether it's count or not, but there is some natural predator in the national park. We just in this sector we just got 2 baby female rhino killed by tiger. As we are, as there is no natural predator, it's a natural ecosystem that one animal kills another. But to be honest, some of the rhino babies are we have got much more incidents regarding the baby rhino killed by the tigers. So what I believe is that there is an increasing number of carnivores in the national park, and there might it might create some effect on the population of the rhinos. Lastly, some efforts carried out by the national park to minimize these threats. And to be honest, we have carried out the massive joint patrolling with the Nepalese army, with the community and the national park staff all over the all over the core area, in the Pakozun area, and we are successful that we have got some high-tech Android system regarding the patrolling system, and we have been good in this patrolling system. Similarly, we have community involvement in anti-poaching unit. Community are so much aware that they give information to park people, to Nepalese army, and to any security agency regarding any types of illegal activity that is going inside the core area or in the buffer zone. Similarly, national park is always intended to carry out management works in huge scale. We are carrying out capital management works up to our capacity. Similarly, we are coordinating and cooperating with conservation partners, and so that we can carry out our management works in large scale. As I have already mentioned, we have some issues regarding the conservation efforts in the national park, and we are well known that there will be no option and there will be no way to go beyond if we don't coordinate with the conservation partners. And for the encroachment, I think we should carry out some political lobbying, because encroachment, relocating the villages from encroached area is the political issue. Because only the action from us, only the action from national park is not going to work. Because since it is some social work carried out, we have to carry out some political lobbying, the political leaders, policy makers, so that relocating these encroachments will keep some good habitat for the wildlife. And lastly, my point is regarding the animal hospital. We are now under construction, and we have some boma construction, and capacity of veterinaries is most important to have good population and to give a good conservation force to the national park. Thank you very much.
Abhinay Pathakji. We have 10 minutes time, and we can take 2 questions.
Thank you very much for the interesting presentation. I have a question which may be only not be addressed to you, but generally to you and the colleagues that are working in here, management of the Chitwan National Park. I have recognized through the various presentations about various activities that you utilize captive elephants for a number of activities: tourism, for income generating, patrolling, wildlife monitoring, rescues. How significant in terms of the overall management concept of your national park is the utilization of captive elephants for the various activities? Or in a different term, how difficult would it be for you to available for the overall activities and management in your national park?
Thank you very much for your question. Yeah, to be honest, we are not, if there is no some cap regarding, then it will be very difficult. To be honest, we can, because most of the works are inside the core area, which are very remote, and we can go easily because there are tall grasslands, and using these captive elephants to those regions, we were not able to go by foot. And not only curing these animals with the captive elephants, the advantage of having captive elephants is that, and if if we can manage these captive elephants in a proper way, then we can. Today, or now we are not able to use captive elephants for tourism. We are just using our elephants for patrolling purpose and just to cure the animals in the whether it's in proportion of poor area or some if there is some tiger in the proportion, we use elephant. But if we have good population of captive elephants or like that, then we can promote tourism in high scale, and we can give a much better effect in the effective our work in the field, because if there is no proper number of captive, much more performance in the field.
Question is not aiming in that direction that I criticize the utilization of captive elephants. It's the other way around. It's a question, without captive elephants, could you maintain the current status of protection of the national park in the same way? Yes or no? Because recognize in other Asian countries that some Western self-proclaimed welfare and rights groups start to campaign or have started to campaign against the general and very often very unqualified way, the general use of captive elephants or riding elephants in any way. And are you affected by these campaigns? Do you have animal rights groups coming up here, or are your visitors that coming here are already affected by such campaigns run in European countries? We recognize that, for example, in Indonesia, in some areas where captive elephants, so the conservation works by providing attraction to tourism, not attractions by rides and things, that they start to lose income, consider to turn again into illegal logging. So are you affected already by these kind of campaigns and these kind of...
To be honest, no, we can carry out our good patrolling system without captive elephants. And for your questions,
I'll answer your questions. It's very interesting questions, and maybe it's very international questions. Yes, you are right. Some of the welfare proactive groups, they are asking to use the elephant for tourism and patrolling or any types of foreign activities that animals. Sometimes, very honest, NGO, whether from US or European Union or whoever supported them, so they are getting very good money. And but for me, some of the former minister, Maneka Gandhi, she is very popular and she has very personal initiative. Because she does not like to eat meat and always love the nature and environment. We fully respect and honor her idea. But some of the NGO people, if they write the questions, getting the money from the interest organization will not accept it. It's a very fundamental point, first. Second, we have to be very practical. Here in Nepal, using elephant mainly two purposes. One is ecotourism, the tourists go riding elephant ride and visiting inside the boat area. And another one is our warning site for the patrolling purpose. Your first question was, if suppose the elephant out from the portrait area, whether you can manage the portrait area same level or same quality or not. I think maybe possible or may not be, it's a bit doubt, but some of the areas are a bit remote. There is no transportation and really difficult to go there, and the poacher, who is very very interested to kill the rhino and go there in the absence of our staff. At that time, the elephant patrolling is really important to save the biodiversity. Even though if you compare the burden or trouble to the animal, compare that part, the protecting other animal is equally important. That's why you do not make a conclusion by listening one person's and one, but you can find both pros and cons each and every activities. Simply, sometimes people, we Nepalese people, most of the Nepalese people are Hindus, and we do not eat pig. But Muslim people do not eat pork, and Christian people eat pork. then this is the type of cultural material. It's systems, it's practice, the value. What we practice here, it's just we continue it. But it is matter, and if the animal is really suffering, maybe we can change the modality. But sometimes, if we construct a very good road and good post and good transportation facility, then at that time the elephant are used for patrolling and even good freedom. But this is under discussion. My point is, let's discuss positively, not hamper either park or people or animal or nature. Just let's discuss very healthy. We are ready to discuss about it. But some of the NGOs that are using the elephants and why shouldn't control it, something like that. And I'm asking them whether you are eating chicken in the kitchen. If you are talking animal right, why are you not talking about the elephant? That's why discuss about it. You can talk. It's a good idea, but it's a bit difficult if we do not use the elephant for patrolling, especially in Nepal.
Sir, I want to also come in because I am from Assam, and the issue raised by Christopher very much involves us. We in India we have rules that yeah. No, it's not.
It's off, please.
Oh, it's on. They get here.
Okay.
Okay. So we are also mentioned our past minister Manaka Gandhi. In fact, she's a champion of that country.
Yeah.
If you do not allow to use those elephants for tourism or this kind of activity, they are going to for illegal logging. They are destroying the forest.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we are plucking out those elephants from illegal logging and using them. Nobody can find them. And they are also giving some income to their owners. Now the question is, and regarding these parts where there are, it is extremely difficult food patrol. Like in Assam, in Orang National Park, we have seen food patrol party from behind the tigers pick them up. The last one. The last one was often picked up. So the forest guards are very scared. Right now in Manas we have a rhino. Suddenly he has developed some bad habit. He has started attacking people. He has killed 3 people already and badly injured another. Now, without elephant, you cannot walk. So, without elephant, these type of forests are almost impossible to manage. Okay, the other side is there has to be a control when we use elephants for tourism. For example, Soraha elephants. You all know from where it comes.
These are private elephants.
Private elephants.
Yeah.
But I know, sir, that's where I am coming.
Yeah.
But most of these elephants come from India. And actually from Assam. Many elephants are illegally captured here. They are shifted to Bihar or UP. Then the tour operators bring them on hire. Like that. I think most of the tour operators do not have the owners. So it will be good if you have a check on these. Like let them, because the elephants are they can't go back. Chain, and many people are. It can be stopped only when the destination area has a reservation. Like you have to be. Then of course, definitely. Like I have seen that the howdahs are small. Not many people can ride on that. That is good. Excessive loading is not allowed. I have also inquired that only morning and afternoon rides are allowed. The midday rides are not allowed. I have seen regarding feeding of these captive elephants, which are used in tourism, they are given only dry paddy straw and natural food for giving. That it makes me emotional because I know elephants one green grass, they are not paddy straw. So anyway, this was a very pertinent question, and I would say that we need elephants for.
Just meant to be regulated, right? Okay.
Background sound.
Do you have any information on the Bengal florican or hispid hair population here? Or hispid hair, any population data?
Yeah, we have data regarding 16 Bengal florican.
16 breeding pair?
Old number, individual number.
Individual.
How many?
16.
Yeah, this is
Hispid hair.
South Asia and East Asia would be the main area. And Nepal has already did some research with RTAREVW or Darwin Initiative for implementation of Nepal and some Indian.
In collaboration with PNSS and our mission, we have already radio covered in Suklapata. It is also transboundary type of animal, transboundary ambassador.
And we did one action plan about this species on just last year. Last year I found for take some ecological setback to this species. I think it's really difficult to say it. Yeah.
Do you have any grassland prescriptions for the grassland management prescriptions you have?
We prepared in Suklapata. I think I will share a small document.
Please.
I think we have a big discussion. There are pros and cons regarding use of domestic elephant. I think from sometimes we have same voice, like Dr. Christopher. Sometimes we intervene the outside people. Please behave elephant naturally. But in case of government elephant, we provide 3 stars. We have big ration as well as full doctor facility also. I think in our government system, those elephants are our backbone. So we are fully worried about their health condition, their diet and other things. And whether I am in Bhartia or Suklapata or Chiton, this domestic elephant is backbone for conservation as a manager. So without this, without the support of domestic elephant, we cannot able to save our tiger and rhinoceros. So we have to protect like this. We have to protect both this domestic elephant as well as our other endangered animal also. We have good result of crossbreeding wild. So I think in tea break time, I think Dr. Vaidya will explain in detail. So thank you, Abhinay. I think we have a coffee break. And we have remaining one presentation. So we have 15 minutes coffee break. So another thing, you have one question answer. So please give feedback and return to our volunteer. If you do not receive this questionnaire, then I think our volunteer friend will provide you. So we will be back at okay. In 25 minutes. 4:25.
That's good. Just your camera. I don't need that in the report. If I do it with yours, then I don't have to worry about trying to get it. We got a chance? Yes. I like your best. I just first thought of me. What I'm seeing. This feels good to stand up. It's break time. I always have that with YouTube. YouTube does look like YouTube hears I say disparaging things about it. Way before. Collapsing on them before they started to take it. Don't help, little guy. You'll end up with a plugged nose. Elephants need long noses. You didn't have a rope on them. Then the noise. Crazy. Oh my God.
Need to collect it. I'll provide you more.
Well, they
remind me once. Or you can finish.
You know, growing up in St. Louis, Missouri, I know about wild elephants, but ARRs do. And the group of elephants, I mean, now we have 3 generations bloodline. Back then, they were all. And, but the one that did have a and he was getting to that age. So he's in 1 yard, and he comes there and they can't see him. And he cocks when he came out. I mean, he chased any bird, he chased a little duck. He takes out a ball on one side of his yard. And so, I mean, he's standing there. He's making a lot of noise. And I heard it
fluctuate between 0 and 50. Yeah. It's very dry, absolutely not a place for elephants. And Mathura, near Agra. And 1.5 acre land. It's between just 1.5 acre of land, and there are also on lease. It doesn't belong to on lease. And just adjacent to that, there is an industry. And all industrial effluents are flowing into the and you just, I have the records. They already 3 or 4 elephants died there because of nasty food affections. I have those. I went to tree. This is because of chain tree. Oh my God, chain tree is just a word.
That's just a word. And here also we have
just a word to
which what chains will be implicates we never use the chain.
No, this chain tree word is just to donors, money. Donate. Always asking for donation. This they have better function. मेरे साथ झगड़ा हो गया भागा नहीं
And then too with media, I mean, I think there's born every moment and you can take your turn.
One to the guy who just, you recognize him? Earlier, yeah. So it doesn't talk about that. One to the fellow who's been doing all the money, you know, yeah, sure. This is, she's the one who signed the letters of invitation. She's the dean of the, one to her. Yeah, she's and then I would put one. Too far like where you can probably put it there. Huh? Here, these two guys. Small gift from.
Those are my pictures and my glue stick. And then here?
Have you
have you gone through this? If you wish to give some of the inputs, we can edit.
One over there. At the very end. And then, do you know what Sarita the lady is? The lady that I introduced you to earlier? No, I introduced you to. I'll show you later. So you still have a few. Here, put right here. Okay. The fellow that gave the tiger talk just now, would you recognize him? He's not in there. Okay, he could be. Hold on, sorry. So that's Linda. Linda. Pack it there, give it to him directly. Pack it, give it to him directly. Give it to him directly. To him.
गौरव सर रेडी हो ना? 5 मिनट सर. 2 or 3 minutes remaining.
Not in any rush. Thanks for that discussion. Good follow-up.
Yes?
It was a good follow-up to Christopher's question because I think it's a very important thing. We don't know enough in professional.
So I would like to request everybody to enter into the room. So I would request to return this back home. So again, good afternoon and welcome everybody. We are going to enter into last session. We have one speaker, elephant ecology and human-elephant conflict in Nepal. That is presented by LTNC research officer Baburam Lamisane. I think he is a very dynamic and academic person, so he will satisfy our delegates. Please.
Thank you, Chair. Respected Chair and all the delegates, good afternoon. My topic is about human ecology and human-wildlife conflict in Nepal. I'll more focus on the conflict side because I think you all somehow are working a little bit with elephant and you know the basic ecology, so I'll focus mostly on the conflict side. So, to start with,
it looks like
I take this time to introduce myself. You already introduced. Thank you very much for introducing me as a research officer. I'm also a PhD student at Leiden University, Netherlands, and Antwerp University, Belgium. It's a joint project between two universities. So I'm also working for my PhD, but it's not my PhD on elephant. It's about human carnivore and people. So, but here I'm going to present about elephants. So we all know that elephants have special. Not only that, it also has very special place in our culture, in Asian culture especially. In Hindu, ecological pattern throughout their range, including Nepal. So I'll just know that they are unique, they are amazing, and they are big. And Asian elephant is one of the 8 mega herbivores, and it has a body mass, huge body mass, 3,500 to 5,000 kilo. Even the male bulls can even go bigger than that. It's listed in CITES 1, and also it's endangered in IUCN Red List. And because there is a category, criteria for this Asian elephant to put in this endangered, because their population has decreased more than 50% in last 3 generations. So for the elephant, 20 to 25 years is regarded as 1 generation. So in 3 generations, their population has decreased by more than 50%. So there is a criteria for putting these elephants. We know elephant population is quite big compared to tigers or some other rhinos and some other species, but still it is endangered because this criteria meets for the elephants. And in Nepal, the department, this DNPWC Act, National Parks and Wildlife Conservation Act, puts this Asian elephant into protected list. So it's a protected species in Nepal. There are 27 protected mammal species, and out of that, 9 get special attention. And if harming these animals, killing or will get 15 years of prison. So that is highest level of imprisonment for the killing of the animal. So coming to the elephants in Nepal. So Nepal is a small country, and the population of the elephants is also comparatively small compared to India and some other range countries. Elephants are found in 13 range countries, and Nepal's population estimate based on the Elephant Conservation Action Plan 2009 is 109 to 145. But we think that elephant population is increasing, and we don't have the exact estimate in recent years, so we are not able to say how many exactly, but this is the data for elephants. And there are nearly 200 captive elephants also that we discussed in earlier session about captive elephants already. About the population distribution in Nepal elephants, so we can these elephants are in 4 subpopulation. The eastern subpopulation in the eastern part of Nepal, in the you can see there in this yellow circle. So this eastern population is has 7 to 15 resident elephants, and also these roams around this Positap Wildlife Reserve, and it also goes to the eastern side. And this map actually shows some grids and the occupancy of the elephants in this whole landscape. And actually we had a study recently published, and it found that out of this 139 partially the elephants are 57% occupancy in these grids. So this is the area you can see which part has a higher occupancy, has the darker color on these grids. So you can see this wildlife reserve in this area has a major habitat for the elephants, and then in the eastern side also it has good occupancy. And then another subpopulation, that's central population, which is almost connected, but there is little bit break you can see on this map, like 25 to 30 elephants in the central population. Similarly, in the western population, 60 to 80 individuals, but we hope that there is more than this, at least 100 individuals in recent years. And then 15 to 20 individuals in the Suklafata complex. That's also sometimes goes to the Indian side. And here in the this eastern population, there are 100 plus migratory from Indian side and visiting Nepal frequently. Later on that issue that we have built another fence on that Nepal-India border side, and then that also restricted the movement of the elephants. Okay, so this is a study from India. I got this map from one of my friends, but I don't know exact detail of this study. But what I can see from this map is that these are the elephant location points, and this elephant, the colored, radio colored elephant, came into the Indian from Indian side to the Nepal side also. So it shows that the elephants are using this landscape in transboundary movement. So in Nepal there are some previous studies. There is also a lot of study gap, but some study has been done in these different aspects, especially in the migratory routes and in population estimation. Then there was one ecological study by Pradhan et al. 2007, and they studied about the diet and movement of the elephants in Bordia, focusing in Bordia. So there is another study by Contra et al. On the nature and extent of human-elephant conflict. Similarly, Ashok Ram study about habitat status, suitability and migratory routes. Similarly, Koirala et al. Studied about dispersal and ranging pattern as well as feeding preference of elephants. And there was one recent paper by Nepani et al. On the willingness of to pay for human-elephant conflict mitigation. And also we had a publication on seasonal habitat use and occupancy. This is the paper that was published recently in Ecology and Evolution in 2017. Based on this study, so this study was done in both forested areas through the biological science survey, as well as interviews with the communities in the partially forested or human-dominated areas. And we found that the occupancy that we got from this study is very close to the habitat, occupancy that is found based on the interviews. So we can say that interviews also can give a very good measure of the occupancy of the species, especially for the elephants. And here it was the biological science survey was done in only one season, so we had one season occupancy estimate. But for the this interview, we also asked the people which particular month that elephant come in their area or in this that use that habitat in this their area. And based on that, we found that elephants are not using the human-dominated landscape in the uniform level, but it's fluctuating over the months. Like it's in the winter, it's more in the winter and the autumn time. They use more of the human-dominated landscape, but in the summer time and then monsoon time, like here monsoon starts at June and then July, August. This time is lower compared to the October, November and December, this area. So, and that also varies between 0.43, occupancy also varies from 0.43 to 0.82. So you can see quite a variation of the elephant using the landscape. So, although there are some studies which have given some information about the elephant, but there is a lot of gap also. We don't know exact population status of the elephants. Pradhan studied in 2007 about the Bardia population, the western population, but other areas it's a guess. As I already mentioned, our action elephant conservation action plan mentioned this population, but that is also based on the guess of the expert guess. And then also we don't know whether these populations, based on our experience, we think these populations are isolated from each other. That's why we have 4 isolated subpopulations, but we need to prove that by the genetic study or others. And then also we don't know exact migration routes and connectivity. Then also hidden dimensions of the human-elephant conflict and whether there is a specific victims, social or economic or other aspects, and habitat use and the bottlenecks especially, and then ranging pattern and transboundary movement. We have some information that I already showed you, but still we are begging for other populations, like in Chittagong population, we don't know if that population also goes to Indian side or not. And then Bardia population, we think it goes to the Indian side, but we don't know the exact. Similarly, we are also doing some studies about the stress level of the elephants in the herd as well as in the soil. And then also that is supported from US Fish and Wildlife Service. And we are now collecting the fresh dung samples from the field, and hopefully we can analyze this stress in our lab here. And also we have this genetic analysis of the conflict-ridden individuals. Identify which individuals are coming into the villages and whether that individual is going or connecting with the herd or not, and this kind of study. Similarly, we are also supporting for this PhD study of one of the DNPWC staff, Ashok Ram, and who is trying to estimate of the population of elephants. Like if there is what we need to manage the elephants. Similarly, also on the habitat occupancy and the human-elephant conflict. So coming to the major, the first one for the elephant is habitat loss and fragmentation of the wide-ranging animal. It needs a large patch of habitat for their feeding needs. It's a generalist or voracious feeder. It's a lot of food. And also we can see like this one is our eastern population area. There is this one is Koshitapu Wildlife Reserve, and this is the Indian side. And these are the migration routes mapped based on the elephant evidence. It's not based on the radio color data, but based on the elephant evidence found in these areas, and then just connecting this, and then this red shows the route, and the green is forest. So you can see already there is broken connectivity between the forest patches where these elephants are using. So that is a major driver for human-elephant conflict also, because elephants are use their routes, the same routes they use repeatedly. And when they come in the past, maybe in the 50 years before, there was a lot of settlement area from Jil to this Surya and Tarai region of Nepal. Then this all forest fragmentation caused destruction on their movement routes, and then there is obviously conflict because elephants want to go on their original route. Similarly, recently Nepal is going in the development phase and building a lot of infrastructures, including roads, expansion of the roads, and then railways and like that. In India, they have already observed a lot of casualties from the railway and others. So probably in Nepal also in coming days, that will be another threat coming. And also the population of Nepal's elephant is small and migratory herds, and they are in the human domination. That's also a threat, and that leads to the conflict, especially in the migration corridors. It's severe. And then also disease. We have captive elephants. We have many cases of the EESB, and then we also have a TB status of the disease in the wild. So that is question like we need to find answer maybe in collaboration with you and then our beta. We thought poaching was not a problem for elephants, but recently we found one case of poaching in eastern Nepal, so near the Kositapu Wildlife Reserve. So poaching is also there ongoing for elephants, so that is also not a threat. So coming to the human-elephant conflict, generally we call conflict for the attacks to the human by elephants, or house and property loss, or crop depredation, and also retaliatory killing of the elephants. These both things are happening in different areas of Nepal where elephants are. So this severe conflict records of Chitwan National Park for last 18 years, 1998 to 2016, and cumulative data of 1998 to 2016, and there were 59 attacks to human by elephants, but there were 235 by rhinos. So you can say rhino is more severe in Chitwan, but in Nepal, if we talk about in a national scenario, elephant is more severe because rhinos are confined only in certain pockets, but elephants are in damage. It's kind of a sole destroyer, we can say, the property destroyed by the elephant, because there are some cases by rhinos. Sometimes rhinos also goes and does the house and others damage. There was one case that rhino attacked on vehicle, also car. It was passing through this corridor and then on the highway, but rhino came and suddenly rhino came and it charged on the vehicle. So that kind of thing sometimes happens, but it's not common. So, and the crop loss is also quite high by the elephants, and this record actually is based on the compensation claim. So there might be a little bit more of this because every case is not claimed by the victims. So this is the record based on the compensation claim of the victims. So coming to the attacks to the human by elephants, so this is the record again by this RTAREVW. And this one is based on the compensation claim again of the victims. And there are annually 28 people attacked by elephants, and 67% of them are killed. So out of 100 attacks, 67 are killed. And then mostly the killing is done by these solitary bulls. So there are these herd animals. They live in the more poor areas of the protected area as well as in the forest, and they also sometimes come for the crop depredation, and then sometimes they do property damage, but human killing or attacking to the human is mostly by the solitary bulls. And also looking at the seasonality of the attacks, maximum attacks happen during November, December, which coincide with the also with the in the human-dominated landscape. So get that this is October, November, December used quite intensively by elephants, and at the same time there is also high number of human killings or human attacks to the human by elephants. So this is the number of attacks, and this one is number of people killed. The dot in the middle shows the number of people killed. Okay, so this is about the seasonality, but looking at people who were attacked either at home or farmland. You can see on this figure, the highest number was in the farmland, and then in the home, and only few were in the forest. So it's kind of severe because elephants are coming into the village or farmland and then attacking the people. And also more attacks outside of the protected areas. Inside the protected area or periphery of the protected area means it's also the buffer zone. So buffer zone also included as part of the protected area. And the number of people attacked by the elephant were more in the outside of the protected area. So if we look at the national scenario, it's quite high. And based on this study in Chitwan, it found that most of the attacks on the property damage and crop loss also happened close to the protected area boundary, but from the national scenario. So if we make it looks different if we look at the protected area and the national scenario. And the elephant spatial distribution of the conflict is also not even. Previously, I think some presenter mentioned about the Madi Valley, which is on the south of the Chitwan National Park. This is the area quite intensively used by the elephants, because the elephant in the central population are mostly based in Porsa, now National Park. It was a previous publication and said wildlife reserve, but it is now a national park, Porsa National Park, and it comes frequently to the Chitwan National Park, and also it goes to the eastern side. And this is the area that is quite intensively used by the elephant, and there is high number of incidents on this particular. The darker one represents the higher number of incidents here. And also there is, interestingly, on this particular patch, also there is quite high. Kill elephants sometimes. So in last 15 years, this is the record of data of retaliatory killing. So 14, mostly by the electrocution. It is in the based on the different locations. This is Kanchanpuri in the far western population national park, and then this Udaipur, Morang, Sunsari, Java. All this is eastern population. So the retaliatory killing is quite high in the eastern population, like 6, 7, 8, 9 of the elephants retaliatory killing were in the eastern Nepal. So Nepal is also trying to avoid this kind of conflict through different approaches. So there is a elephant conservation action plan for 2009 and 2009 to 2018, and also there are management plans for the elephant bearing protected areas. Sorry, there is missing some word. Management plans of the elephant bearing protected areas like the Chitwan National Park and other areas. Also, there are wildlife crime control bureau, and then community-based anti-poaching units, as well as elephant monitoring teams, community-based elephant monitoring teams, which are monitoring of the elephants and then also trying to avoid this kind of conflict incidents in the landscape. Conflict mitigation is one of the priority action of the elephant conservation action plan, and it shares it has actions, it formulated actions for all three, like prevention, mitigation, for prevention, support for the electric fence and other fences, and that should be maintained through the community. That is what this elephant conservation action plan says, and also that's happening. So you can see some pictures of the fences. I'll show you more fences on the next slide also. Like there are different kinds of fence practiced in Nepal, but we still have not assessed the effectiveness of these fences. So that is also another that gap we need to address. Similarly, alternative crops, especially the non-palatable crops, which is not elephant don't like mentha and other aromatic plants. That is practiced mostly in the Bordia and Western complex, and that is for the one season specific plant is planted, or crop. This crop is planted in winter season, and for winter it works well. But for some, every household wants rice for the summer crop, and then again this problem is there. And then awareness programs. We have different kind of awareness programs, including radio programs, because FM radios are quite famous in local people among the communities. And then also we have other boarding boards, posters, and this kind of activities. And also we have some warning systems. And then for the mitigation, we also do frequently controlling of the problem elephants, and then also, but for some of them. And also there is a relief provision already. Dr. Dakal presented about that, so I'm not going to talk more on this. So there are different kinds of fences practiced for the solar electric fence, buffer zone area, which is forested, and only the fences separate settlements from the forest. And also there is a new technology in eastern Nepal that I mentioned at the edge of the eastern Nepal, where the migratory hordes from India is also entering into Nepal. There is this offset kind of fence where elephants cannot come from Indian side to the Nepal, but it can go from this side to this Indian side. That's how it's called, allows elephants, if some elephants accidentally enter inside, then it can go, but it cannot come. So this kind of fence is also there. And then this established a few years ago, 2 years ago I think. And then the report is that the number of elephants entering from India to Nepal is coming less and less. But that's one thing good, because its conflict is less and less in Nepal, but it's not good for elephant conservation, I think, because elephants, they need to move freely in the landscape. If we stop them, and that is not the point of the elephant conservation. Anyway, that's already installed there, and it's a debate. And also there are different kinds of fences like this one. In Bordia, they have this kind of concrete poles, and then GI pipes in between of these concrete poles. And also on this photo, you can see there is a concrete wall with some barbed fences on the top. So this kind of fence also practice. Fences are installed as preventive measures. And there is a early warning system installed last year only. I think in 2017 only, in Bordia and in some areas of Chittagong in the southern side in the Mari Valley. That has both like automatic alarming system and siren system. Whenever animal of the elephant or other animal, there is no other animal of 4,000 kilogram or 4 ton animal passes nearby this area, or there is a certain sensor location, and then it gives the alarm to the communities that animal is coming. And based on that, people can prepare themselves that elephant is coming, and they can settle themselves into the home or like that, so that human casualties goes down. And also we have satellite some of the elephants, and then when the elephants approach near the villages, then we also alert the people that elephant is coming in this area. This is some glimpse of the elephant capture. And also we, after identifying of these problematic bulls, we also, while we capture them or darting them, then we also trim their tusks. And that also, for some time, it helps to keep the anger of the elephant in control. And we have seen that after trimming, they generally don't come into the villages for some time, but later again, they come again after a while. So recently there were 3 elephants radio collared in Kosi, 2 of them, and then 1 in Bordia in Western Nepal. And in 2012, one of this very dangerous bull, I'll say, because it killed many people, more than 15 people by this particular male. Also had animal, and then also tracked their movement. Unfortunately, it was a particular location in Chittagong National Park. We are here at Sauraha, and then it moved all the way to the border of the Chittagong National Park and went up to this Rohtak district. This whole span is not that long for elephants, it's 200, but anyway, there's a lot of settlement areas, and it passed through all these settlement areas, went to that location, and these red dots are the locations where it attacked on people, mostly killed. And also it went to the Indian side, you see here, in the Balmiki side, and then killed them, but unfortunately or fortunately, we can say it survived, and then it's hard, but it's not causing that.
Just 3 days before it was in our headquarters, but it is normal.
Yeah. So we can say to survive, and then now it's behaving normal. And another problematic bull that was collared in Kosi was on the 1st of December 2007. particular area is the park, the Koshtok Wildlife Reserve, and these are the locations of this animal. And you can see that there are quite a lot. It is using human settlements. Some areas very close to the park border, and sometimes it goes a little bit farther also. Looking at the location time, you can see that all these locations outside the park is in the night. So daytime it mostly stays inside the park, and then it comes out for grazing or for crop rearing in the night time. And not only the mitigation that we practice from the government or in our partner side, but also community themselves practice different kind of mitigation measures like drumming and then firecrackers sometimes, and sometimes also they use explosive. Not mostly in the Chiton area, but in the eastern side it's quite a serious thing. They throw the explosive on the elephants, and elephants are more angry. And then also searchlights and view towers like these ones at the edge of the farmlands of villages. And also there is some places they put live fences, which is the major cause of the elephant death. And also they use the tractors or excavators to make a like big sound, and then elephants are scared of that, and then they chase away from the villages. So these kind of things they practice. And also there is some piloting. I have seen from the, I have not seen in the field, but from some of my colleagues informed me about this, and then I put this one also as one of the mitigation measures. In Africa they are piloted and it worked very well, but in Nepal it's still in the piloting phase. They have started piloting in Bardia, Chiton and Porsa. Chiton in the Thori area in the southern side, and also in the, but still we don't have the assess the know the effectiveness of this. So if it will be a good option for livelihood of the people as well as controlling of the elephants. And while you are passing through the highways, also we have to do the information boards like this. While coming from Kathmandu, also there are in the highways this kind of signage posts in relevant areas. Some in the forest, mostly in the forested areas, about the. This is the corridor of all the elephants, so just be careful and like that in these signs. As I mentioned earlier, we also do frequent radio programs, radio magazine to FM in the buffer zone area, focusing on buffer zone, and then also posters and then brochures, and also awareness camps in the village fringe areas, in the forest fringe area. And these, most of these activities focus on the elephant behavior, and we, from these awareness programs, we try to convince people or, and then increase their tolerance capacity. Also, we call social carrying capacity for the elephants. But still, there are a lot of challenges. Like for the human-elephant conflict mitigation, there is still a challenge of severe encroachment in Surya hill forests. And also, especially outside of the protected area, this is the severe for the through this invasive species, illegal cutting of trees, and this kind of activities, and also maintenance and functionality of the electric fences. You know, electric fences are quite effective if they are maintained well, but when we install the fences, generally install government or from the community themselves or in collaboration, and then the maintenance responsibility goes to the community. If it doesn't maintain the fence, then it doesn't work. And in many cases, elephants come in one season or few months in a year, and then when that comes, then they maintain the fence, and then they forget for another 6 months when the elephant doesn't come, and then again when it comes next year, and then again it's a problem. So this kind of thing is still a problem. And then sometimes they put live fences, I mentioned earlier, so that's also a problem. Instead of electric, proper electric fences which doesn't harm the animals, they put the live fences, and then sometimes elephants are killed. And so they also use stone pebbles to chase throw stone pebbles on the elephants to chase the elephants. which sometimes injure the elephants. And also problematic animals are not properly identified and managed. Sometimes we identify one animal, but that is not the problem causing, and that's also a problem. That's why I'm going to, sorry, it's just a few slides remaining. There are some way forward I just want to mention here. Some short-term immediate measures like elephant removal or rescue and free treatment of the victims. Because if we give the relief after 2 months of the injury, then it's not convince the people. It will not convince people. But if it is immediate relief, as I mentioned earlier, that protected elephant attacks is more in outside of the protected area than in the inside the protected area. Inside the protected areas, we have well-trained team to deal with this kind of activity. But outside the protected area, like there are police and armed police force, and also some army base camp, which are not properly trained to dealing with the elephant. So in medium term, it's a community-based elephant monitoring, like monitoring of the elephants continuously if the elephant is coming, and then early warning system through the community base, that will help. And also we need to assess the effectiveness of different types of fences. Like I mentioned earlier, we have a different kind of fence, but we don't know which one is working better and which one is cheaper or effective. That's also important. Similarly, we need to find assess and then build which one is more effective. And then also ownership of the community is must. If that is not owned by community, then it's not possible to maintain. Similarly, community oversight programs should be continued. And when we go capturing and others, the local community always demand that immediate treatment of the victims and putting ambulance or keeping ambulance ready is always important. If it is standby in these elephant conflict sites, then the victims can survive. And for long term, there needs a proper land use planning and restoration of the migratory corridors. Obviously, that's important. And alternative cropping is another. And there is one example from eastern Nepal where there is 300 hectare of tea plantation. And also quick relief mechanism. I don't want to add this on this because already Dr. Adala mentioned about this. And then also coordination with the other development agencies, like for the mitigation, like linear impact. IE and EIA is properly implemented, that helps in mitigation of the conflict. Thank you. If you have any queries, please.
Thank you, Mr. Lamchani, for your elaborate presentation. We have only 5 minutes left, so if you have any question, one question will be entertained.
Thank you very much for your very comprehensive presentation. I was just wondering why elephant has got more attack to the human in farmland and home than forest. And is there any biological changes to the why such thing is happening?
I think you are eating and then you somebody try to like disturb you, that you are angry. The same thing happens with the elephants. That is our basic assumption that there is more attacks in the farmland, because in farmland elephants are grazing or eating crops, and then people try to chase the elephants away, throw the stones or something, and then elephants are angry and attack people. And also same thing happens in the home also. They come for mostly for the crop storage, like grain storage. They go for that crops or grains, and then people try to chase away elephants. They move very close, and then they got attacked.
In addition to what he said, I have a little bit of experience when I was working in Bordier National Park nearby, and the elephant, they use their traditional route. Once it's approached by the people, whether they become a very village and areas, and they used to follow the same route. So sometimes it's also make a conflict, because previously that land belongs to elephant, I can say, because it was a wild place and it was encroached by the people who migrate from the hill and the lowland or from one place to another. And the route, they never forget either. The elephant, wild elephant, they follow their route and they encounter with the settlements and the people. We don't have any scientific proof, but I feel we have experience, and I want to give one example. In Korea, we have a station, NTC station. Previously, we don't know that the elephant was moving from that area, and we have a camp now. And from the camp, the elephant used to cross always. So what happened? And it's also create a problem to the community living nearby the office. So what we did, we put electro fence from that area, and what they did, they tried to come there and they moved from that area. Okay? So just it's a small experience. So I just want to share. Maybe it's also one of the what to say. It's a traditional route we are using to create problems.
So may I take just one question? First thing is those killers are mostly the loners.
Yeah.
And the loner bulls, which are kicked out of their like groups, they are frustrated, and most of them are, while killing people, they are in mass. So that in one area, even veterinarians can intervene. In fact, in Assam we have experience when a musk bull started attacking even the forest staff, and we have used medicine orally, and he was good for 1 second. Second thing, you have mentioned in cropping, tea garden. Please withdraw that, because we have enough bad experience. The tea cultivation does the worst damage to the elephants. So that is our experience. I can say later on details, because this is monoculture. They do not support any life form, not to speak of elephants. Tea garden is the worst thing to happen for them.
In relation with what Dr. there are some papers talking about castration, endocrine castration through. We could use some tools for that. Like, I don't know if it's feasible here in Nepal, but that could be one of the tools to work with especially the loner bulls and those under musk. So I think we could do that.
Thank you for your suggestion. And I think we are doing something, I don't know exactly, but maybe Dr. Goyal can add on this. What kind of treatment we are doing?
Just one comment about the medical castration with using DNRH vaccines. I think we have to be very careful with that, to do that in wild elephants, because it's not well documented how long that lasts, and you might compromise the breeding capacity of a wild bull for a long term, which might have a negative effect on the genetics of the population on the long term. So I think with this particular method, to use it in wild bulls to control the must in terms of the conflict prevention, we need to consider very, very well not to do something which could be damaging to the population or the genetics of the population on the long term.
You mentioned that you trimmed the tusks of the elephant, so I was wondering what is the significance of that?
The surface of it becomes blonde, yeah. And also, the elephants feel it different, and it feels like something happened to him, and then he don't go to the village yet.
You can do that also. The male elephant is used and the shape of its tusk to use it as tool or use it as weapon. If he loses a part of his tool or weapon, he feels less comfortable, he feels less confident for a certain period, so until he adjusts to the length. So it works for a certain period, and then he gets used to the length. So it's not really a solution, but you can do that. We do that sometimes in aggressive bulls and captive elephants, when mouths have lost the control and we want to retrain them. We also trim the tusks to a certain length, so they're less confident than during the retraining, and it's easier to retrain the elephants. And that's effective.
Would it be possible that the libido decreases as well?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I think swimming is we have three reasons. You know that swimming is too bigger than the role that that's in our captive element, and also that I don't think so. The swimming and the aggression is not related. So in our captive element, there's so many the aggressive elephant without that. So I don't think so. There is no relation with the swimming and the aggressive elephant.
I just want to make one comment.
If we don't know what they have to start. The research is still undergoing. A couple of years ago, I was looking to find the GNRS vaccines, but I was unable to find. And I also discussed this with our biologists. They didn't prefer it because it could possibly handle the breeding and other things. So in future, we also would like to know more about the feasibility of that kind of things. And if it is reliable, then we will use. If not, we will discuss. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Those who raised question and give some feedback. I would also like to thank for presenters, Dr. Dakal, Dr. Pokrel, Mr. Pathak, Mr. Lamchane. So please give all of them to. Something left, and then we have 10 or 15 minutes time. Otherwise, I'm going to hand over this session to Dr. Himal for preparing closing session. So, is under your control. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief Warden Sir, for chairing the last session. Now we are about to finish our workshop. First of all, I would like to call upon Heidi from workshop. So Heidi from SNE French Software.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank everyone not only for coming, but also for presenting and sharing information and many good questions and a lot of good discussion. As Dr. Meenakshi Nagendran said this morning, we hope for the use the networking beyond all. So we hope that all of you coming from different countries, different elephant, tiger, rhino range countries, will stay in touch, as well as those who are not from a rhino or tiger or elephant range country, like our colleague from Mongolia. Wildlife veterinary issues are common across Asia, many of them, and so it is very important that there is this network that is able to continue. During the presentations, we also heard about initiatives here in the country to be able to do better wildlife health monitoring. And so I would certainly request that the government of Nepal take that under consideration and endorse those types of initiatives, because they are very important. They are an important part of wildlife conservation. All of you as veterinarians do play a role in this. So conservation is not just about biologists or zoologists, it's also about veterinarians, it's about educators of all types. And so I encourage all of you to continue the discussions beyond this. I want to thank the organizing committee, especially my partner in crime, Dr. Amir. I don't know if he's in here right now, but it's supposed to be up front. As well as everyone, all the staff from NTNC, Chitwan National Park, been very helpful in getting this organized and getting it together, and I think it's been great. So I'd like a round of applause for all of that. And of course, I thank all of the funders, especially the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So thank you very much on behalf of Asian Elephant Support.
For certificate distribution and I would like chairperson of the organizing committee for the area of animal science. I would like the certificate for others to distribute. So, Dr. Maisha Dakar from College and Organization. Dr. Christopher. Dr. Bas. Dr. Bao. Dr. Arun. Dr. Arun. Dr. Nadi. Dr. Pam. Dr. Chris. Dr. Bajania staff. Dr. Sendak. Dr. Kado. Dr. Kado. Kazan Pai. Dr. Zhao Min Ho. Dr. Zulfi. Dr. Kamal Prasad Gaide. Mr. Abhinay Pathak. Kumar Dhaka. Suvedi Samjana Shrestha. Mr. Vijay Tiwari. Amir Sadola. Dr. Imal Loitel. I would like to invite Mr. Bhuvan Giri, who is tirelessly working for this conference. You can see him for all the logos, you can see all the posters designed by him. So, plus innovative guy. So, we want to congratulate you and keep it up. And in future as well, we can move. Not only this, but even the technical one, and then it will be really innovative. Abhishek Liraula. So, both of them are working together. So you can see similar hairstyle as well. She was joining these two guys for a week and then working tirelessly from morning to evening. I would like to invite Mrs. Sabina Tiwari Gimire from Agriculture and Forestry University to receive the certificate and token of love. She is not around. Mr. Samir Lamisane. So he was working, I don't know how long, he worked 24 hours. Mr. Ved Kumar Dakal, Chief Warden, Chital National Park, to deliver the vote of thanks.
I have to say good evening also. Dr. Sarwar Kapalia, Dean, Faculty of Animal Science, India, Indonesia, Mongolia, Myanmar, Pakistan, Russia, Thailand, USA, UK, Vietnam, and other distinguished participants, scientists and other delegates. Representative from conservation partner, media person, ladies and gentlemen. On the behalf of Department of National Park and Wildlife Conservation and organizing committee, I would like to thank all the also participants for actively participating in the regional tiger, Asian rhino and elephant better animal science and also giving our time for the entire talk. She committed to introduce some wildlife veterinary topic in the university curriculum in coming day. So I am very optimistic about that. I would like to thank the Ministry of Forest and Soil Conservation, Government of Nepal, for its participation in opening session. Although he had very busy to review existing structure of the bed. I would like to thank Mr. Govinda Gajrel for participation in today's workshop within his busy schedule. As an organizing member, he mentioned about the future collaboration for capacity development with different partners. I would like to thank Mr. Sivo Wagle, Regional Director of the Central Forestry Directorate at Toda, for his participation in opening session. He have a coordination role within forestry organization within this region. With his participation, I think we have good coordination in coming day. I am thankful for management and one session from Professor Dakal, Joint Secretary of Ministry of Forest and Soil Conservation, within his very busy schedule. He highlighted human-wildlife conflict practice and especially policy matter issue of Nepal. I would like to thank all the distinguished delegates from abroad, Australia, China, India, Indonesia, Myanmar, Russia, Thailand, USA, UK, Vietnam, and also distinguished other participants also. Their participation made this workshop very fruitful and collaborative. I think this is joint collaboration of veterinary expert, of tiger, Asian rhino. I am very thankful for the time and efforts from Sarita Gyawali, from other reports since the initiation of this representative Mr. Bali Dungana participation in our opening ceremony. I am his existing center in Bapurjan area. So I am seeing from so I am very grateful for mobilizing students that to our new generation in student. I am very grateful for our lowland protective particularly and hotel camp. Many media helpful for our also management. I hope my knowledge will be strengthened after the interaction with scientific community like you. As the manager of host Chitwan National Parks, I am very grateful for selecting this World Heritage Site as a venue. This is the ending of the formal session, and we will enjoy a lot. Hoping to see you future in
forest and soil conservation for closing remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Ima. Professor Dr. Shukla, distinguished participants. I think now we presented many papers and listens many people and discuss in the activities. It is my immense pleasure to be here and deliver my closing remarks. Once again, I would like to thank organizing committee for inviting me. No doubt that biodiversity conservation is a growing concern, but unfortunately, knowingly or unknowingly, the government has not given wildlife the best ecosystem. Why it will be very much helpful to move forward and to encourage in the policy programs and allocate some budgets to our organizations, especially the governments. For me, I will try my best to incorporate, but sometimes it takes to convince our high-level officials why wildlife health is very important, not only for wildlife but also human beings as well. It will also very helpful. I mean, this workshop is very helpful to policy makers like me, park manager like our warden, and other many people, including researcher, academician, and many others. On behalf of the government of Nepal, and I would like to express my sincere to the organizing committee and all organizations who supported and make success these workshops today, especially Chitwan National Park, UNESCO World Heritage Site, having Ramsar site, and one of the beautiful national parks, and the Chief Warden and his entire team deserve special thanks for this workshop here, and the NTNC, PCC, the all staff here, they deserve special thanks. Similarly, the Agriculture and Forest University, Dr. Dean, who lead the whole activities from beginning to the Dr. Thapali, deserves special thanks, and I would like to share my sincere thanks to all the members and the many organizations, especially US Fish and Wildlife Service, USAID or UN program and their consortium members, and JDSLs, Asian Elephant Support, many organizations who supported financially, technically, or at least moral ideas, whoever they provided, they deserve special thanks. It updates our knowledge, it explores our skills and ideas, and it will be helpful to understand the wildlife ecosystems. And I think it's really difficult to save our animals, to save our ecosystems. They have to be serious. But as I already told, even politicians know the types of wildlife, and it's these workshops and similar workshops that is to those things. Finally, whatever outcomes will be produced and we will pronounce here, we will try in our policy and programs on behalf of the state. Finally, I have a safe and pleasant trip back to home. And thank you very much, and see you in the future.
For your valuable remarks and assurance to incorporate the resolutions that shortly come into the floor. I have two quick announcements. The participants can certificate of participation from the registration desk. So please contact the registration desk for the certificate of the participants. And one more announcement for tomorrow. Tomorrow in the morning, canoeing. Whoever want to do 10, but that I don't have any announcement. If I would like to call Sarah in Fisheries Agriculture Forestry University in between tomorrow, and I want to be away from this microphone.
We have prepared some resolutions. We have taken some and you incorporated in this 18 resolution of the workshop. Regional tiger, Asian rhino and elephant veterinary on 7th February 2008 was jointly organized by Faculty of Animal Science, Veterinary Science and Agriculture and Chittagong, Nepal, and support National Park and Wildlife Conservation, US Fish and Wildlife Service, USA Harioban Program, Society of London, Nepal. Later, Minister of Parks and Wildlife Conservation, NTNC Harioban Program, Chittagong National Parks, Tribhuvan University participate in. Altogether, we pay biology in the workshop. Service well-equipped wildlife under Chittagong National Park with the support from Agriculture and Forest for Nature Conservation to take care and treat the diseased wildlife species and diagnose the wildlife health management under FABFA vets and wildlife officials in different wildlife disease study research centers within and outside the country, linking Agriculture Forestry University, Department of Livestock Services and Department of Forest and National Laboratories to work in coordination nationally. Vacancies for the National Park and Wildlife Conservation. Collect and preserve any available material sample for immediate and future research on wildlife. These are our resolutions, and I already requested you all, if you have got some more points or some idea, you can give and we will incorporate, and accordingly we will go to our policymakers, universities and all the related stakeholders. So now we have come to end, and I sincerely acknowledge the contribution of all the supporters. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to thank and congratulate the put in tireless efforts to make this workshop a grand success. It would not have been possible without your hard work. Lastly, I thank and congratulate all the international delegates who had travelled from far place to make this workshop successful. I wish your happy stay for remaining 2 days and safe return to your home. I now personally feel I have become more knowledgeable in wildlife area, and if this type of opportunity comes, we will again participate, organize, and we will remain in coordination. Thank you very much for everybody who has given your hand to make this event successful. Thank you so much. We will conclude this valedictory function as well as the whole workshop here, and then we will enjoy our dinner from 7 o'clock onward. I think you will announce. Thank you so much.
So we will join dinner at 7. So that 1 hour we are free to roam around. Or if anybody wants to go to the, then let us know, we can drop you. If anybody wants to walk, and it's yourself.
Oh, the other guy is not AI. AI was in that thing. And this is George. We use that for our Thanksgiving card, the turkey and the roaster.
Oh, yeah.
And that's him too. It's set up.
What's his age?
Well, his American name is George. He has a big Thai name, but I can never say that, so we go with the American name.
A few people and then we will switch to the car.
Oh, these people, he's like 8 or 9 years old. This was a while
अब सक्यो